Hey, Nebraska, do you need a tissue for your issues? Hey, Nebraska, save the drama for your mama. What happened, Nebraska? Did voting for Trump ruin your economy? Oh, that's weird. That's so weird. It's kind of like we told you so, right? Oh, I love this. I like to stick it in your face and rub it in.
Hello family, welcome once again to another episode on my YouTube channel. On today's episode, we'll be talking about Nebraska farmers who are about to lose everything. Nebraska MAGA farmers break down and regret voting against their interests. They have announced they might be bankrupt in 6 months. With all this said and done, Nebraska farmers are actively furious at Black Americans and the Latino community for refusing to work in their farms. This comes amid illegal immigrants who worked in their farms. A case comes from Los Angeles. Majority of people who work in the farms and factories are Mexicans and the Latino community. Imposing deportation on them will eventually lead to farms and factories unattended. Now this is the true definition of FAFO. Let's watch the following videos to the end and listen carefully.
It's kind of like, when Trump was telling everybody he was going to come after the undocumented people in this country that were working hard and deport them, that they would kind of move to a state they felt safe in. And apparently, Nebraska wasn't one of them. They packed up their stuff and they headed on out to a state that would welcome them with open arms. So now you're going bankrupt. And as somebody that lives in a blue state, I could give a shit less. Boo-hoo. Oh, and I can't wait for the hated comments. I can't wait for it. You voted for this. You voted for this. And now you're getting it. So why are you mad at us? We didn't vote for this. Nope. We voted completely against this. You voted for this. I better not get one BS comment. Not one. Not one. Oh, how mean you are. The stink. You're so mean. Shut up. Shut up. I'm not mean. I'm just giving you what you wanted. You wanted this. You voted for it. You made your bed. Now lay in it. Have a day.
So this morning I ended up on Nebraska Talk, and it was a bunch of people crying, why does anybody care about Nebraska? When we voted for Kamala Harris, when I cast my vote for Harris, that was me saying, I care about you and I want you to survive and thrive. Okay, you knew better than anybody else that your state thrives and survives off of migrants' backs. Okay, and instead of them waiting for ICE to come, they decided to peace out before they could come and get them. I don't know what to tell you guys anymore. This is what you voted for. Whether you like it or not, whether you want to believe it or not, this is exactly what you voted for. And now you're feeling it. What do you want us to do? You want a government handout? That's socialism. You voted against that. No. Sadly, the reality is that you'll probably have to sell a lot of your farms for pennies on the dollar to large corporations and manufacturers. But don't worry, they'll probably let you work there for minimum wage.
Not the Nebraska farmers going bankrupt by voting for Donald Trump. I don't give a shit. You guys voted for it. Fucking take the consequences. Fuck you guys.
So, apparently, Nebraska is going out of business soon, within the next 1 to 2 quarters. Why? Well, farmers to be exact, or farms. They can't seem to find anyone to work their fields. Nebraska, I wonder why that is. Could it be the racist rapist that you voted for that literally told you he was going to deport about 80% of your workforce, but you voted for him anyway because you wanted your bragging rights? That's right, you wanted to own those libs. Well, congratulations, Nebraska. You won your bragging rights, but now you lost your livelihood, and I have 0 fucks to give to you.
Good morning. It's a beautiful day to talk about fuck around and find out in the state of Nebraska. That's right, boys and girls. It's time to talk about tariff troubles in Nebraska because, the tariff war now. Canada, Mexico, China, you know that those 3 countries account for 90% of the corn exports in Nebraska. Plus, I'm seeing farmers now taking to TikTok saying that they didn't vote for this. They didn't vote for tariffs. They didn't vote for getting rid of their workforce because they're all illegals. They didn't vote for this. Oh my God, the government subsidies, all this has been, and their farms are going bankrupt. You voted for it. Zero. None. I have no sympathy. I'm sorry to say that, and I'm sorry to be the asshole in this situation, but fuck around and find out. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, as Taylor Swift would say. You voted for this, and you're getting everything you voted for. Problem is, you're taking the rest of the country down with you.
I have a question for the rest of America. Does anyone even care about Nebraska? Does anyone even care?
Nah. Next question. I don't know if y'all have been keeping up with Nebraska Farmer Talk, but they are getting exactly what they voted for. Nebraskan farmers overwhelmingly supported and voted for Donald Trump. The same Donald Trump who ran a campaign with one of the biggest promises being the deportation of illegal immigrants. Mind you, most of the people who work on their farms are illegal immigrants. So now, months after the open book test, they're finally starting to study, and they're realizing that if Trump implements his mass deportation plan, they are going to lose a majority of their workers. And if they lose a majority of their workers and their fields become as empty as a J-Lo concert, they will go bankrupt. Well, so now they're on here crying and complaining about how they're going to lose their farms, and nobody seems to care. I'm going to hold your hand with a napkin in between when I say this. We don't care because you showed that you don't care first. You are getting exactly what you voted for. Trump was very loud about his plans for mass deportation, but because your brain is as smooth as satin and your last two brain cells are fighting for 10th fucking place, you weren't able to put two and two together. So now they're on here crying and complaining to us, asking us why we don't care that they're about to have concept of a farm. Stink-a-butt, what do you want us to do? Have you considered pulling yourself up by your bootstraps? Maybe round up your couslings, your sister wives, your husbands. Y'all work in the farms. Unfortunately, there's been a tariff placed on thoughts and prayers, so I don't have those for you, but I did write a song for you. Old Nebraskans had a farm. ADIOS. Hope this Peace and love. Talk to you later.
Someone please go check on Nebraska. Do you guys know what's going on over there? And if you don't know what's going on, that's why you have me, so I can explain it to you. But básicamente, Nebraska is about to go bankrupt in 6 months. And I'm sorry, I don't mean to smile. It's just a little ironic because majority of Nebraska voted for you-know-who, el pendejo, right? Majority of Nebraska is like, does anybody care about us? Like, we're about to go bankrupt in 6 months. And the reason why they're about to go bankrupt is because the majority of the workforce in Nebraska is built off, who do you think? The back to Latinos, right? That are undocumented. And they're scared to go to work. And they're not giving any money to the farmers. So their agriculture is dead. They're like, who cares? Like, can somebody come and help us? No, mijo. I have no pity for you.
So, all right, Nebraska, this one's for you. See, what you did was, you voted for a man on lies. Now, that same man, we already know, he don't like to pay for his bills. They told you that over and over. You got cities that he still owe money to. You got places that have shut him down because of the way that he didn't pay his bill. There's places that he can't go back to because of the way he didn't pay his bills. And when you signed that piece of paperwork, that contract with Joe Biden, he was a man of his word. But then you elected 70% of you farmers elected to put the man in who does not keep his word instead of actually dealing with half of the administration that was running, again, who not only gave you those contracts, but are known to keep their word. So while you were out voting against the people who work for you, that are undocumented, that you feel are living off the government and getting welfare, you too found out that you were part of the welfare queen section. Because if it wasn't for the federal government bailing you out and giving you extra stuff to improve what you have, because you must have forgot the federal government was making money off of you. USAID, yeah, you made some money off of it, but the government did too. So righteously, they're just giving you a piece of what you have already contributed to the country. Again, you found out you were just as much of a welfare queen as the undocumented people that you had working for you. Now that they're not coming to work and the work's not being done, and some of you got loans out there that need to be paid. How about this? How about you do like your man, and don't pay the bill. See what happens. Well, that's what you asked for. So what do you want us to do about it? There's nothing we can do about it. Good luck.
On my feed at the moment, I'm getting a lot of like, don't you guys care about Nebraska? In 6 months, we're going to be out of money. Fafo. No, we don't care about Nebraska. We care about those tiny little blue purple dots. But your MAGA asses, we don't give a shit about. Because we now know, I mean, honestly, I don't think most of us knew this but we now know that Nebraska is somewhere between 45 and 65% undocumented labor. You in Nebraska had to have known that, because you went to the polls intentionally to get those undocumented people out of your state. What with their flavor and spices and ability to sway their hips and, stamp their feet in time to the music, you were fucking offended as hell. Now, there was that, disconnect between, they do all the work and they pay the taxes, but we want them out. I don't know, I guess you guys thought there was going to be some kind of surge of white people just be like, oh, thank the Lord, we've been looking for this job for forever. Please pay me less than minimum wage. I cannot wait. Oh, right, they didn't. And before ICE could even show up to get your undocumented workers out, they up and left, taking their tax payments with them, which was part of the reason why you guys will be out of money in 6 months. All that I want to lower my taxes shit, congratulations, now they're lower. We are sad that Nebraska might go under, because we understand what you guys raise and grow. We understand what will be missing. We're sad about it, but we knew what was going to go missing when Trump was, your top pick, your only pick. Did you even have another candidate? And when we read Project 2025, we knew what was coming. You must have known what was coming. You just somehow thought there was this, surplus of skilled white laborers just lollygagging, waiting for this moment. You could have called Florida and asked them how it was going there.
Dear Nebraska farmers, I have a question for you. So, you realize that you were employing your farms with undocumented workers, because there's no way that you didn't know that, right? You realize you're also breaking the law by doing so. But you then rail against those same undocumented workers that's doing the work and making you money so that they can be deported. And now you're crying and whining and trying to skin and grin to Donald Trump to stop him from deportations when you supported it overwhelmingly. It's kind of like the Venezuelans, right? When right before the election, they were like, I will vote for Donald Trump. Oh, 2 weeks later, he used us. How are y'all feeling right now? Bye.
So I'm seeing a lot of people being confused about how, Nebraskans and people in agricultural communities can be voting against their own interests. And I have a lot of experience with these people. I'm related to them. And obviously when I talk about them, I don't mean all farmers and I don't mean all the people in these states. But in my experience, the farmers have been living a fairy tale for many generations. They have been told by the government and by our own society, that they're extremely valuable, which they are, but that they are self-made men and that they exist in a vacuum and that we would be lost without them. And most weird, that they don't receive any kind of assistance, that they're self-made, which is a fairy tale. They receive a lot of assistance, but this is the story they've been telling themselves. This is a story that the government has been telling them. And this is the story that they've passed on to their children and their children's children, because they want to glamorize. They want to make what they're doing idyllic. They don't want their kids to leave the farm. They don't want their kids to go to the big city. They want them to stay and they want them to keep the farm. So their kids and their kids and their kids have all been raised with this idea that as farmers, they are heroic. They are, the backbone of America, even though at this point, the backbone of America, if it's farmers, then it's completely made out of fabricated steel and been replaced by a neurosurgeon 30 times. They don't see that. So they don't understand. When you live in a fairy tale your whole life, and when you've been raised in a fairy tale, and when your father was raised in a fairy tale, you don't use critical thinking skills. You don't analyze what you're doing. You just keep going with the fairy tale. And you don't choose a political candidate that forces you to think. You choose the political candidate that encourages you to stay in the fairy tale. So that's how they keep voting for the bad people. That's how they keep voting against their own interests, because they're in a fairy tale. They're so enmeshed in it that they don't want somebody waking them up. They want somebody who's going to keep them asleep. And unfortunately, they're gonna have to wake up sometime.
Racism is expensive, and corporations and billionaires don't care about you. This is probably breaking news to many who support and applaud mass deportations. Well, the people in Nebraska, the state of Nebraska, is starting to find out how expensive both of those things are, how expensive racism is, and how much corporations and the billionaires don't care about the working class, minorities, poor people, black people, and other non-billionaires. Well, here we go. So I hear Nebraska is on the brink of bankruptcy, although it seems that they have found a little band-aid to put on their self-inflicted gashing wound by choosing and supporting mass deportations, which hurts their farms because it takes away the migrant workers who, instead of waiting for ICE agents to go and round them up and jam-pack them into some of those private prisons like Core Civic, and continue to enrich the billionaires while they lose while the farmers lose their workers. The migrants decided to self-deport to places where they can be and be okay, and not be in a community and communities of people who applaud and support mass deportations. So I guess those migrants were taking people's jobs. Where are those people? Come and take the jobs. They're there. The jobs are available. Why are these states, why is Nebraska potentially going bankrupt? Why are so much of America's farming country going belly up? Yeah, racism is expensive. And like they say, F around, find out. But I hope this is a lesson to everybody that is in support of and applaud mass deportations and mass incarceration. People who, in a haste to get rid of the people they do not like or to hurt people they don't like, end up hurting themselves. With racism and xenophobia and all of these other things that were part of this past election. By the way, I'm not, although MAGA is super excited about these mass deportations, the corporate Democrats weren't too far away from them either. They were busy chasing MAGA to the right, especially on the issue of immigration. So I'm not gonna act like I didn't see it, or that it didn't happen, or that the Democratic Party wasn't campaigning on potentially doing harm to migrants and immigrants either. And at the end of the day, there was also another choice other than the corporate Democrats or MAGA, and there was the Green Party. Most people probably did not pay attention to it, but if you look at their platform, it actually is in favor of the working class, is in favor of minorities, is in favor of the majority of America, to where you could see their platform is not in service of the billionaires, unlike the two major parties, the duopoly. So all that to say, though, when you make choices and you make choices that hurt people, and at the same time you depend on those people, you're cutting your nose off to spite your face. And at this time, let me just ask Nebraska and everybody, because I know, I recognize everybody in America is going to be affected by farming issues. However, everybody that supports all of this bigotry, all of the mass deportations, mass incarceration, racism, racist policies, and all of that, and who are being affected now, let me just ask you to pull yourselves up by your bootstraps.
Black Americans and the Latin community greatly helped the Nebraska farmers. Now that Trump administration is imposing deportation of illegal immigrants, farms in Nebraska will eventually be left unattended, and this will also impact on the economy, leading to bankruptcy. Well, seems racism is expensive. Someone please go check on Nebraska. Do you support Black Americans refusing to work in Nebraska farms? What about the Latin community? Leave a comment and let's engage. Remember, don't forget to like, subscribe and share. Thank you, family. Bye.